Hey guys, welcome back to another lesson. Today I'd like to show you a few really beautiful ways to voice minor chords. Now, I'm a big believer in show then tell, so I'm going to play a brief demonstration for you, and then we'll go back and break down the ideas behind it. This entire progression of chords I just played consisted entirely of minor chords. Now, they actually consisted of 3 different voicings of minor chords that I simply moved around and changed between. I'll start by showing you the 3 voicings, and then we'll talk a little bit about the philosophy and ideas and maybe a little bit of the theory behind them, but you don't need to know any theory to learn these voices. So I'll show you them for A minor. And the first voicing is this. It's a closed form voicing, it's very lush sounding. And what I'm playing in the left hand, I'm playing an A, C, D, and E. And in the right hand, I'm playing a G, A, B, and D. The second voicing I like to show you is a little bit more open. And again, it's for an A minor chord. And what I'm playing now in the left hand is an A, E, and F. And in the right hand, I'm playing a G, C, and G. Finally, for the third voicing, I'm again going to show it for A minor. The third voicing is this. So now the notes are even more spread out, and I'll actually play this 1 octave below. It's the same voicing, just transposed down an octave. And the left hand is playing A, E, and B, and the right hand is playing a C, G, and D. And now there are many different ways of voicing minor chords, but if you start out with these 3 and master them, you just learn to transpose them all over the keyboard, you will really have sort of good foundation to start out from. And the reason I say this is that these 3 voicings represent, a very closed, a midway spread, and a very spread open voicing. So you kind of have all of your bases covered. Now, going back and breaking down what I played, I initially used the second middle voicing for an A minor, D minor, E minor, then everything is transposed up a tone and a half, C minor, F minor, G minor. Now I use the open voicing for the A minor, B minor, and then F sharp minor. Then I went back to the second form, the midway voicing, for an A flat minor. And then I used the closed voicings. And that's it. So you can see you can get like a wide range of sounds that are with just these 3 voicings. You might have noticed that when I played the third last section, then for some of the voicings, for example, for this B minor, I was omitting a few of the notes, because if I played the full lush voicing so down below the keyboard, it would end up maybe sounding a little bit too cloudy, too muddy. So I only kept in the left hand, and do this if you need to go to lower octaves. To make it sound a little bit less muddy, I was only keeping, that would be the equivalent of playing the A minor and playing just an A, C, and E in the left hand and a G, B, and D in the right hand. So really omitting these two extra notes. Now, having sort of gotten all of this down, you really have, all you need to do is go out and practice this, and you'll immediately see that your playing gets a lot more interesting and varied. I would like to use this last part of the video to talk a little bit about the underlying theory or some ideas to have you think about. If you think about an A minor chord, the simplest chord, A minor, in the root form, it's 3 notes. It's an A, C, and E. Now, an A minor 7th chord also adds the G, and then you can add additional extensions, higher degrees, also sometimes referred to as tensions. So it might add the 9, a B, and the 11th, D. And now you can double and move these notes around. So really, starting from this, I can take this D and double it down here, and I can take this A and double it up here. And here's our third close form lush voicing. I could also decide to, let's say, I have these 6 notes, so I can take this A down an octave. Now I can take this E down an octave. Now I can take this B down an octave, and look at this. I have the second or open voicing, or the third, open voicing. So this is how these different voices are constructed, by moving around the notes of the A minor 11th chord, and sometimes omitting, sometimes doubling them. The only exception to this is this voicing for the A minor, which you see contains this F note. Now you'll see that this F note does not feature in any of these degrees, and in fact this would be considered more sort of a passing note. And this second voicing is actually quite interesting, and I'd like to spend a little bit of time discussing it. Let's say that you're playing in the key of C major. Right, this is what's colloquially known as the all white keys key, sort of the beginner's scale that everybody learns when they start piano. And in this scale, you can play a C major chord as the root, and you can maybe go to an A minor, and then to a D minor, and then to a G major. Now, I can start with a C major chord, and then play an A minor chord. And I can use this second voicing. Now, this would not really work that well for a D minor, because it has this note here which is out of key, so to speak. So, on a more, let's say, a slightly deeper theoretical basis, I would say that this is a voicing for an A minor chord built on the Aeolian mode for A minor. But it wouldn't fit on this mode for D minor, which is a Dorian mode. But that's fine, you can still use it, and in fact, it sounds kind of okay, even if you squeeze it in. There's no law saying that you always have to stay in key. You can sort of bend the key a little bit, the scale. You can go a little bit out of the scale, and then back. In many cases it will sound okay and even interesting. But it is something to keep in mind, that this has this extra note here. For this I'm playing here the A minor, that takes you a little bit out of some of the variations on minor scales or modes. Now, another interesting thing that I would like to point out about this voicing is that it is a little bit, it has some ambiguity in it, because you'll see that it can be an A minor voicing, but it can in fact also be a D minor voicing. The reason for this, and now I'll get a little bit theoretical, so I guess this part will be for those of you who are a little bit more versed in theory. If you'll notice or take a look, what I'm playing here is the 5th, 9th, 3rd, 11th, 7th, and 11th degrees of the D minor scale. So this doubles as both an A minor and a D minor. And in fact, it also doubles quite easily as a major chord. And this would be the F major chord. Or to be more precise, an F major 9. Because I'm playing here, as far as the, if you look at the F major scale, I'm playing the 3rd, 7th, root, 9th, 5th, and 9th degrees. So it's a very versatile voicing actually. When you use it and you learn to associate it with other chords, you can use it in different contexts, and it is just ambiguous enough for you to get away with using it in these different contexts. So again, a very useful and honestly, in my opinion, beautiful sounding voicing that is good to sort of have under your belt. So I'm gonna stop here. We could maybe overanalyze this or go further, but this is really a good point to stop. I hope you've learned a few interesting ideas for voicing chords and minor chords, and I hope to see you next time.